Hello and welcome to our second episode of The Author's Feet, a literary program focusing on contemporary writers. It's an opportunity for us to pick the brain of our authors to understand their journeys. I'm your host, Empress Ciku Mwaniki. Our guest today is Silas Nyanchwani. He's a journalist who has worked for both national and international publications. Silas is now an author with two critically acclaimed novels. First was Sexercised, published in 2020, Man About Town in 2022, and in between the two, there was 50 Memos to Men, first published in his Facebook pages and then put into print. Silas, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
First things first, or something I always wanted to ask. They say you're the tallest author in Africa.
Yeah.
But there's something somewhere.
Until someone comes out to dispute that, I think that I'm the tallest.
Something for the Guinness Book of Records there. We need to find out. Welcome. Right, this is my favorite part of the program, knowing the beginning of writers' journeys. For instance, I know I'm an accidental writer.
Yeah.
I never set out to do that. But, or maybe the universe was just pushing me without me realizing it. Were you ever deliberate in?
It was very deliberate because after I realized that I was not going to become a doctor or a teacher, then I set out to be a writer. I think immediately, as soon as I got out of high school. And the original idea was like, I just ventured into writing novels. But then if you remember in the 2000s, there weren't so many Kenyan novels, or we didn't know many people were making money from writing, especially novels. So I decided that I'll do journalism, make a name from journalism, and then go straight into books. And for me, it worked out.
So you actually wanted to be a novelist first before the journalist?
So I went into journalism to make a name.
All right.
And it took a bit long, but then I managed to transition into writing books.
How long is long?
It's almost 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah. The initial plan was like I'll make a name within 5 years, and then I wanted to do like a novel before I turned 30. But that one never happened. Took much longer.
I wonder, is that a deliberate thing, or I'm going to use the word deliberate quite a lot of times. But was that deliberate that you picked topics that got people worked out, maybe topics that a lot of people are afraid of delving into? Was that part of the plan?
It wasn't deliberate. It wasn't part of the plan. But if you look at my background, I come from a family where people just speak their mind. And then I grew up, I spent a section of my life with a clan in Kisii, who are notoriously famous for telling the truth. Like they shoot straight from the hip. And then I got into high school. My stream was really notorious. It was like a bunch of stand-up comedians, always mchongwano, you know. And then I get into campus, the group, like I tend to attract guys who just speak their mind. So when I'm starting, I'm just writing what's in my mind or what I'm hearing people say.
Kesi badai,
Yeah, so this issue of political correctness, I think it's just an American idea. I don't think whether it's American because, you know, the way America was founded through planned slavery and all that. So those ones in power, it's easy to offend everyone. That's why they invented that thing of political correctness. But I think human beings, we only speak what is in our mind. Like if you go down to Gikomba and hear the conversations there, you know, There is like Jaluo, this Kikuyu, this Kamba. That's who we are. So for me, I just speak my mind. One, there are times when I write something that is serious, supposed to be like thought-provoking. And then there are times when I'm just bantering, I'm just making fun of the other side. So sometimes, of course, I'm trying to provoke people, but not like in an insensitive way or, being childish or anything.
Yeah.
It's just banter, or sometimes I want to really provoke, like right into
think about this kind of
the
thing.
soul of our nation, because I think about our country a lot.
Yeah.
And I just like the far we've come. Yeah.
Did you ever feel threatened? Although you write a lot of controversial topics, I know the political ones tend to be a bit more heated than, say, man versus woman kind of debates. But do you ever feel a little afraid because of what you're writing or the reactions?
Not really. I'm not like afraid of anything. Maybe you can be afraid of the government, or someone in the government maybe might come after you.
Wouldn't it be the first time a writer is...
but then I think I try to trade cautiously, not to offend anyone.
Yeah.
So I try to be a generalist. And if I'm attacking someone, then it has to be something that is in the public domain.
Right.
Yeah, so I try to be a bit cautious. I'm a parent, and I don't want my children to be orphaned at such a young age. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe, like, I know we live in a free country, but sometimes, there is that kafir that we have in us.
Freedom is relative, yeah?
It's relative,
It is relative indeed. Let's talk about social media, because I know it's one of our biggest avenues of sale. On Facebook, I know you have over 46,000 followers.
Yeah.
IG, about what? About 2,400?
2,400.
Twitter, 5,600. It's a huge discrepancy between the three outlets. How did that work? Is it that you prefer one over the other, or is one better at moving books and traffic? How does that work? How did you end up at 46,000 on Facebook?
I think it's because Facebook was here first. Because I joined Facebook in 2009, and I joined Twitter, I think, 3 years later, and Instagram, I think, another 4 years later. And I think each of those social media, they have a generation. I'm a bit old school, so most old schoolers are on Facebook, and then younger people are on Twitter, and even the youngest tend to be on Instagram and Snapchat. And also like Facebook because it allows us to write stories, because Twitter, back then it was around 106 characters only. And then they later added to like 280, that's still too small. So Facebook, at least you can write like a whole book on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Facebook is very interactive.
Yeah.
I've not been very deliberate to grow my numbers on Twitter and on Instagram, partly because I find Twitter to be a bit toxic. There was a time when it was, the feminists were there, and
we'll talk about that, but carry on.
We're not getting along very well. Then I find Facebook to be a bit a safe space for me. I can be who I am, and that's why like I've camped, and that's why like I sell my books.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Can you make, or have you made a proper living out of your books?
Yeah, like since COVID started, technically, it's the books that have sustained me. Yeah.
Yeah?
I can't say like I'm rich from the books.
Yeah.
But I think they have a tremendous potential.
They do, yeah?
Yeah.
And you are self-published.
I'm self-published,
You're self-published.
Yeah.
I like that you said you are living comfortably, like you're not suffering, and the potential is great, because there's a big sort of a push between the publishing, the traditional publishing houses, and being self-published. Why did you decide to go self-publishing?
I think self-publishing is good because you're able to control the pace that you want your stuff to go.
Yeah.
Because the traditional publishers, first of all...
When you say pace, you mean...
like if I want to release a book in January,
yeah,
I can actually do it in January. When you deal with traditional publishers, it can take even up to 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
I've had friends who tell me that they gave a book to one of the mainstream publishers,
yeah,
and 3, 4 years, nothing has been done. So with self-publishing, when you have the resources, and you can just do it pretty very fast. But also, the traditional publishers, they are more focused on textbooks, school textbooks, because they are much more creative. To invest like in a novel, let's say like Sexorcised, you need like let's say.
Do you think they'd have made you change the title?
let's say like $500,000
Yeah.
to produce such a book. For a mainstream publisher, they'll think like, are there good returns? Because let's face it, the last like from around 2003 to maybe up to 5 years ago, people are not buying books that much to make like publishers think about it. So what self-publishing does is that now I'm a creative and also an entrepreneur. So I control everything myself. I can sell my books. I write. I can outsource an editor, and also so that's what makes self-publishing to be like good, especially if you have a following that you've built over time. Yeah. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Bule. Bule is the man who runs Nure Bookshop.
Yes.
That man has caused a big disruption, because like when I did Sexorcised, I was selling it from my car boot, like in the trunk. Then he called me to like bring me five of the books. So I took 5 of my books there. So I gave him, and then after I don't know a day, he paid. I told him bring me more books, and then since then it's just been like that. And so he has helped many Kenyan writers to sell
being
their
one
books.
of them.
He markets for you, and he pays us on time, so we're able we're motivated. So when you combine my Facebook and Bule and the many fans that I have, that I also acknowledge and appreciate, so it's easier now to sell that way. So I have like a huge family of fans, Bule, and now my daily post that I do.
Yeah.
So the more you entertain people, the more they want to support
they want
you.
To see what you
so
do.
That's what has worked for me.
Okay.
Like daily, I have to think like, what can I do to excite my followers, to excite my fans? You know? Sexorcised is a novel about divorce. Is a man who has been divorced, and the emotions that a man goes through after he's been divorced. So it's a novel about a man who's coping with the divorce. And the book basically, the idea came from when I was giving a creatives writing masterclass at the Creatives Garage in Allingham, and I was teaching the people I was giving the masterclass how to write powerful introductions. So I came up with that introduction as an example, but then I couldn't give it to them because it's a bit graphic.
Yeah.
So the idea was I showed them that example, like you can actually start a novel or a short story like that. Then after that, I was like, I want to write like a blog, like the first section of Sexorcised. Like a man who has been divorced, he goes to a club, picks a girl, and then they have a one-night stand, and then it ends there.
Yeah.
And then down the line, I'm like, okay, why is the man being divorced?
Yeah.
And who's this girl that is sleeping with him the first night of his divorce?
Yeah.
So that's how now I started to answer, like, who's this Maureen girl and who's the man?
Yeah.
And then I had to go give a background to why the divorce happened, and now how the man tries to, like the first 1 or 2 years of how the man is dealing with that divorce. But the book is like 100% fiction.
Nothing to do with you. If you were to give upcoming writers advice on how to do about it, would that be like one of the advice?
Find a niche first, and find something like passion is really good, and always write from your heart, and write things people can relate with. You can always study like all the famous writers and see what their favorite topics were and why it worked. I'll just read the first paragraph.
The first line, then paragraph, and maybe the third one.
I live in Kitengela, the dust capital of Kenya. The harassing heat of Kitengela makes the ideal time to take your first beer of the day shortly after 11 a.m. You do this as you wait for fatty ribs to be delivered with the kachumbari and with the luck, freshly made managu. Once you take that first beer, nothing can go wrong in the course of the day. If any of the 4 girls in your rotation list fail to show up, there are enough jobless male friends pretending to be working from home wouldn't mind escaping from their homes for a cold one and a chat about Baba's realistic chances or Ruto's impossible odds. Your ex lives here. Your other ex lives here. And the sister to the other ex. One of the exes is married happily if her Facebook photos are anything to go by. She flirts with you though. There's yet another ex who lives here, a single mother learning to love herself. Tired of male bullshit, she says. The other is kept by some rich mzee and she doesn't hide this from you. You used to love her, but she dumped you in such a condescending manner for the dude with a better car. Now she fakes some affection for you, but you hate her and treat her with condescension. Life didn't turn out for her the way she wanted, and she has been trying to make up for a lawsuit with you. You f*** her out of spite. I think when it comes to the Kenyan literary scene, I want to be positive and I don't want to look on what's wrong with it. I want to focus on like the renaissance that we've had the last 3, 4, 5 years, whereby Kenyans are writing more and Kenyans are showing us the love. They are buying our books, they are following our posts on social media. The only thing that is missing is a synergy, which we've tried to work, but I think Kenya we are more individualistic. But if we can collaborate, we need more book festivals. We need to find a way that we can convert our books into movies, into new media, find other ways of telling our stories. I think that's the only missing thing. More collaboration, so that we can even get some corporate sponsorship. Like in Nigeria, they have a Tisalat awards. How can we make Safaricom like create a literary award? EABL, like we tell stories when you're drinking.
Yeah.
So we need like to pull together because writers, we have so much power. Like we define culture for a country. Not just writers, like I'm talking about writers, filmmakers, So I really want us to collaborate some more and convert this stuff into movies.
So your diagnosis is you're not there, but there's a lot of improvement, right?
No, there's what happened. There was a reading boom like in the 80s, like from the 70s, Charles Mango, Meja Mwangi, Ngugi Thiong'o, and then the 80s. So it starts to decline towards the end of the 90s. Then Binyavanga came, Kwani caused a lot of excitement and all that, but Kwani was not like really mainstream. So it sort of like didn't bring everyone on board. And then, so Kwani dies. So there's this vacuum, but the beauty of that vacuum is that now all of us now, we've come from, people are coming from Nyanza, from the coast, we have so many people. And in as much as like we are scattered, collectively online, like we are being shown so much love. You go to, there are almost 20 authors who are very popular, like their posts are going viral, So the whole idea is like, how now do we work, how do we even collaborate now? How do you organize the festivals, the movies, So we need to do more and go the Nigerian way.
Like get all those popular writers to do a festival, but of course tag the others. And then get everybody together and,
I keep on telling them that our success might be individual. But there are people who can tap into my followers.
Absolutely.
I can't. Like we've had really like a very good synergy with Jacob. Like, through my platform. There are so many guys who they're not constantly buying the memo and unplugged, and the books complement each other. Very different. Because Jacob has his style and I have my style. But the book complement each other. Is like 2 dosages for men. Is like kuna hii tembe moja unakunywa na ingine unakunywa, So now all of us, like there's something Alexander Nderitu once told me long time ago, like 10 years ago, that in Kenya we're almost 50 million people. So imagine if just 1%
of that,
that's like 500,000 people, were consumers of our art. We'll transform this country immensely.
That is true. Thank you so much, Silas.
Thank you, Ciku.
We have run out of time, but we have not run out of questions. So I hope to host you again soon in our programs. And all the best. Keep doing what you're doing.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
We have come to the end of today's edition. And join us next time for our 3rd episode. Thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.